and against Great Falls Public Schools reopening plan spoke out tonight. More from the school board meeting and the plan for the fall semester.
Plus, the Montana Law Enforcement Academy closed. We'll explain why and for how long.
And later, 3 people are behind bars after a high-speed chase over the weekend. Details from Havre Police.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Keely Van Mittendorf.
And I'm Tim McGonigal. Beginning this evening in Great Falls, where GFPS School Board of Trustees voted to approve their reopening plan for the 2020-2021 school year. Now, the board discussed the plan for over an hour tonight, and the vote was not unanimous. Board members Bill Bronson and Teresa Schreiner voted against approving the plan, citing concern over potential increased transmission of coronavirus. Schools will reopen with partially in-person and partially remote learning on August 26th. The wearing of masks will be required in most settings, especially where optimal physical distancing cannot occur, for example, on school buses. We'll have the full details of tonight's meeting tomorrow on Montana This Morning and on our websites. Well, the Montana State Health Department reports 65 new COVID-19 cases today. Cascade County with 54 active cases, Lewis and Clark with 56, Glacier County sitting at 23, and Toole County with 14 tonight. Overall, we've now seen just over 5,000 confirmed cases statewide. 75 people have died here in Montana, and there are currently 80 people in hospitals around the state. State public health leaders said today that they're not aware of any COVID-19 tests that have been lost after concerns about potential missing tests were raised online. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian has more on the issue.
MTN News had been forwarded an online post that said about 7,000 COVID-19 tests might have been lost. We looked into those reports. The Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services, which has been overseeing COVID testing in the state, says it has not heard of any missing test results in the Helena area or elsewhere in Montana. In a statement Monday, a department spokesperson said, "We believe there might be confusion as to the recent backlog of test results at Quest that has since been resolved. This number of tests was also 7,000. These tests have been processed and the results sent back to the ordering provider." Montana is one of several states that saw delays in getting COVID test results, as the number of tests being processed at out-of-state labs spiked in recent weeks. The state is now working with another lab that has processed about 10,000 Montana tests. DPHHS says the turnaround time there has been about 2 to 3 days. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
Montana is also still processing tests at the state lab in Helena, and leaders are working on testing partnerships with Montana hospitals and Montana State University to further expand in-state capacity. Well, the Montana Law Enforcement Academy has closed for 2 weeks following a positive COVID-19 test by a student. Staff were notified Friday morning of the positive case and closed following the campus's COVID protocol. The entire class and the instructors that had direct contact with the student will be quarantining for 14 days and facilities will be thoroughly cleaned. The academy is expected to resume classes August 24th, and cadets will train through their weekends to make up for lost time. Law Enforcement Academy will also be increasing some of their COVID protocols once students return.
We had been training all through COVID, and with previous classes we'd lock them down, not allow them to leave campus. So then I already told the class on the way out the door Friday, plan on being locked down for the duration when you come back, just to limit exposure in the community. And Steiner praised the cadet for being honest and upfront from the beginning about their symptoms and test results. Students at the academy were pre-screened for COVID-19 before arriving and monitored daily. Tonight, crews continue to get a handle on a fire in Fergus County. 2 wildfires broke out there Friday evening. While the smaller of the 2 fires is now 100% contained, the larger fire northwest of Winifred is still burning. According to officials, the Judith River Road fire near Winifred is now 70% contained. At last check, the fire's total acreage was around 1,100, indicating little growth since it broke out Friday night. Meanwhile, fire officials with the Helena, Lewis, and Clark National Forest say overnight growth was minimal on the Fields Gulch fire, burning about 6 miles south of Lincoln. The fire is 5 acres. It's 0% contained. Today, the Lincoln Ranger District's Type 4 team transitioned to a Type 3 team because of the complex terrain and the weather forecast. Yesterday, crews established an anchor point to work from and build containment lines. A Type 1 and Type 2 helicopter are both working today, along with about 60 crew members. Right now, there are no evacuations, trail or road closures, but starting today, a water tender was spraying Dalton Mountain Road to keep the dust down. If you do drive in that area, drive with caution and allow fire traffic to pass. Well, fire conditions are remaining a concern in our forecast this week. Meteorologist Grant Garland is back with us. Welcome back, Grant.
All right, thank you, Tim. I hope that you've had a great evening, Tim and Keely, and also every one of you guys. Hopefully it was a pleasant start to our work week. Well, we have been looking at a warm day today, even though temperatures right now aren't too shabby. 67 in Great Falls, Helena 71, 72 in Glasgow, and 66 in Jordan. And as far as our winds are concerned, not seeing any problems at all. 5 miles an hour all along the High Line. And, well, we have been looking at a few clouds around Billings and south of there, but overall we are looking at clear skies, and that should be the remaining trend as we go throughout the night. However, though, our attention turns to tomorrow. The National Weather Service, they have issued a red flag warning that starts at noon and lasts until Wednesday at 9 p.m. due to the low humidity levels as well as our windy conditions. So putting this into motion right around 4 p.m. that's where we're going to be looking at our elevated risk for fire really vamping up. Tonight, temperatures falling down to right around 52 degrees with mostly clear skies to clear skies, and elsewhere 53 in Havre, 55 in Hayes, and 51 in Lewistown. Now later on in the show, we're going to talk about a little cool down expected after tomorrow, but for now, back to you.
Thanks, Grant. Well, a weekend pursuit in Havre ended with 3 people behind bars. A press release from Havre police says the incident began after reports of 2 suspicious vehicles driving recklessly in the 1300 block of 3rd Street. Officers identified the driver of a black Nissan as Jalen J. Crazy Boy of Havre. Crazy Boy led officers on a brief high-speed pursuit through town before the suspect crashed his vehicle on 8th Avenue. A foot pursuit ensued before he was taken into custody. Crazy Boy faces a list of felony and misdemeanor charges, including fleeing or eluding a peace officer, obstructing a peace officer, and DUI. 2 other occupants in the black Nissan, 24-year-old Victory Rosette and 22-year-old Kate Lamburn, were taken to the detention center for a city court warrant and a probation violation. Well, coming up next on your 10 o'clock news, your snail mail getting a bit slower these days.
We'll take a look at why and how Montana's lawmakers are reacting.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
And welcome back to the 10 o'clock news. Well, a shooting outside the White House interrupted a press briefing earlier today. President Donald Trump was in the middle of a sentence when a Secret Service official abruptly interrupted him. Within seconds, he was led off the podium and out of the room while reporters asked what was happening. Just a few minutes later, Trump returned to continue the briefing. He confirmed a shooting had taken place and someone had been taken to the hospital. Authorities apprehended the shooter for the incident, which happened just outside White House grounds. And President Trump signed several executive orders this weekend, but experts say the likelihood of them taking effect is in question.
Among the executive orders the president signed include extending federal unemployment benefits, adding $400 a week extra instead of the original $600. States may be on the hook for some of that money.
State budgets have been decimated by the pandemic and the downturn. They're not getting sales tax revenues like they would have in the past, and they've had to spend a lot of money for all kinds of things during this experience. So their budgets are hardly in a position to weather yet another expense that's related to the pandemic.
Another executive order impacts a payroll tax cut. It could save Americans about $1,200 starting in September through the end of the year. Economic experts say payroll processing firms aren't even sure they could make it happen. It's just a postponement of payment, not a tax cut. Only Congress can do that.
And let's be frank, as we get ever closer to the November election, the less likely it is that members of both parties are going to be able to act in behalf of the best needs of the American people, as many of those lawmakers see to it that they protect their own interests first.
Hamrick says Congress needs to act at bare minimum on a number of issues, including another round of direct payments to Americans, helping with daycare costs and reopening schools so working parents can work, and expand help for Americans that don't have enough money for food. Montana's congressional delegation doesn't always agree on controversial issues, especially when it involves the Trump administration.
But when it comes to concern about action taken by Trump's new Postmaster General and its effect on the Postal Service, they're all speaking out. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has more.
In memos made public last month, Postmaster General Louis DeJoy said he is restricting overtime by postal workers and taking other cost-cutting steps that could delay mail delivery. He has said the financially strapped Postal Service needs to operate more like a business. But Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester says Congress has appropriated funds to help the Postal Service weather the coronavirus pandemic, but that money has not been released.
We've got a head of the Postal Service that wants to destroy the Postal Service. He's doing everything he can do to destroy it. We've got to hold that person accountable, and we've got to make sure the Postal Service is there.
The Republican members of Montana's delegation aren't happy either. Both U.S. Senator Steve Daines and Representative Greg Gianforte sent letters to DeJoy last week demanding that he reverse directives that are delaying mail delivery times. Daines and Tester also are co-sponsors of a bill introduced a month ago that would create a $25 billion emergency fund to keep the Postal Service afloat and require DeJoy to submit a plan for the service's long-term solvency.
I am concerned about that, particularly for a state like Montana, where rural communities are heavily dependent on the Postal Service, particularly for health care. So many senior citizens and other Montanans receive their medications through the United States Postal Service.
Senator Tester said a well-functioning Postal Service is even more vital now, as millions more Americans will likely be voting by mail this coming election.
Not only is the mail important for just doing regular old business and keeping folks healthy, but vote by mail is kind of nice in a state like Montana, and we had a record turnout during the primary because of it. I believe that this democracy is set up so everybody that's a citizen here should have an opportunity to vote.
So what happens now? As we've reported before on this issue, there's always plenty of tough talk in Congress about fixing and preserving the Postal Service. But here we are, still waiting for action. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. And meanwhile, UPS customers can expect to pay more to ship packages. The company is adding charges of up to $4 per package, depending on weight. UPS says the additional charges will help handle the expected surge of packages during this upcoming holiday season. Retailers and sellers are expected to pass the costs on to customers.
Moving to the campaign trail now, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mike Cooney says he's taking his opposition to a sales tax a step further by asking voters themselves to ban it permanently. He also reiterated his charge that his Republican opponent, Greg Gianforte, is a sales tax supporter. Cooney and his running mate, Casey Schreiner, say they're launching a referendum to place a statewide sales tax ban in Montana's Constitution. The referendum needs the signatures of more than 51,000 registered voters to make it on the general election ballot in 2022. Cooney says the ban is needed to permanently block Republicans like Gianforte from advancing and passing a statewide sales tax. The Gianforte campaign dismissed Cooney's proposal as a publicity stunt and says Gianforte has made it clear that he opposes a sales tax under any circumstances. The Montana Republican Party also noted that Cooney requested a sales tax bill in 2005 while he was a state senator. Cooney says that was just a request for research on the issue and that he voted no that year on a Republican sales tax bill that failed.
Check this out, guys. Temperatures falling down to around 80 degrees on Friday, but quickly warming up to 93 on Monday. We're going to talk about our rain chances coming up after this break.
Get Bristol now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a pleasant Monday evening and ready to start off Tuesday. Remember, we're getting closer to that Friday. Take a look at this. Looks very beautiful, almost like a Pittsburgh Steelers gold and black kind of look out there. And it doesn't feel that bad either. Temperatures are right around the 70 degree mark for a lot of folks and lower 60s. But for today's high, we did see 85 degrees in Great Falls, 87 in Helena. As you headed on out to Glasgow, around 88 degrees and 90 for our friends out in Jordan. And the typical temperature that we see is right around 84 degrees. So, I mean, we missed it by just 1 degree. The record was set back in 1984 when it was 104 degrees. That was also the year that Arnold Schwarzenegger took on the role as the Terminator, trying to take out Sarah Connor's son. 71 degrees in Helena, 66 in Lewistown. Out towards Glasgow, 72 degrees, 66 in Jordan, and 63 in Cutbank. As far as our winds are concerned, well, we did have a windy day for some locations, especially on up towards the High Line, looking at 26-mile-per-hour winds in Cutbank, 28 in Glasgow, 30 in Jordan, and out towards Helena as well as the Electric City, 23 miles an hour. As far as the last 3 hours are concerned, we have seen a few clouds trying to build in out towards Cutbank, but elsewhere we're seeing clear skies. The rain is staying around Billings and south there, so no worries about any showers tonight. But we are looking at a concern tomorrow, an elevated risk in fire, a critical fire weather actually tomorrow, and this is encompassing all the counties in hot pink. The National Weather Service has done this due to low humidity levels as well as our gusty conditions we're expecting tomorrow. So from tomorrow at noon through Wednesday at 9 p.m., we're going to be looking at this warning in effect. So let's go ahead and talk about our parameters. Well, we are looking right around 4 p.m., seeing the best chance to see any kind of brush fire, and it doesn't last right around until 6:30, and then it quickly goes away as humidity is brought back in as the night wanes on. But we're seeing our winds tomorrow peaking right around 10 to 20, some locations even 30 miles an hour, right around that 3 p.m. mark. As far as when our driest part of the day will be, it's going to be right around the 3:30 corridor where we're seeing 15% humidity, so very, very dry here. As far as our cloud cover and precipitation chances go, going into tomorrow, clouds will stay off towards the north. We'll be looking at dry conditions. Then on Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, that's where we're going to start to see clouds try and build into the Cutbank area, Great Falls, down towards Bozeman, looking at a partly sunny day, and we could even be seeing an isolated shower or two, mainly at night though, for our friends right around Lewistown. It'll be a surprise if we get any here in the Electric City, even though we desperately need it, but hopefully that will bring in some moisture for us all. Our temperatures will fall down to around 80 degrees on Friday before picking back up to 93 on Monday, so I'm really excited about that. What about the long-term forecast? Well, we are expecting temperatures to stay warmer than typical, as well as looking at drying conditions. You can always stay aware by following me at Meteorologist Grant Gaughan on social media, on Facebook, as well as Twitter and Instagram, and download that free KRTV app. Temperatures tonight falling down to around 51 degrees in Lewistown, 49 in White Sulphur Springs, 53 in Havre. As we head throughout the day tomorrow, 54 degrees by 7 a.m., 4 p.m., 88. But overall, temperatures will be around 90 degrees by Wednesday, 85. Looking at an isolated chance for a shower or two, mainly in the evening. And then we're looking at temperatures falling down, Keeley, to 80 degrees on Friday.
Thanks, Grant. We'll stick around. Tom and Cece have your weekly edition of Social Distancing Game Changers next.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
And welcome back. Well, it's been a few days since the Big Sky Conference canceled the season.
MTN's John Miller has Coach Choate's thoughts from an afternoon Zoom meeting.
On Monday, Bobcats head coach Jeff Choate spoke to the media about Friday's news that the Big Sky Conference pushed the football season to the spring of 2021.
Here we are literally on a day that's been circled on a calendar for 9 months. And they're finally going, hey, by the way, we're going to push practice, we're going to push to the spring.
His players had varying opinions of the news.
Some guys were, let's play no matter what. Some guys were like, I don't want to give up my senior year for something meaningless. And so that was kind of what we were managing internally.
Choate gave his thoughts on the move and the problems that can bring.
I mean, you basically be doing kind of fall camp, winter camp, really right after the first of the year. Because you can't go, if you're going to do it at all, you better have this thing done by mid-April. And then you got to reboot sometime in early June to prepare for the fall of 21. Now, the one thing I will say is we cannot try to force this to happen in the spring at the expense of the fall of 21. I think we can all survive a year without this, but 2 falls is going to be devastating to our game and, possibly to a lot of athletic departments and football programs nationwide.
If there was football in the spring, the Bobcats would be at a disadvantage, given the fact they likely wouldn't be able to practice.
Well, our field doesn't drain very well. Our field usually isn't playable in January and February, and sometimes even into early March. So we're not going to really be practicing football. We're just going to be doing whatever.
In the end, Choate said he wasn't going to cry into his beer, but jokingly said the team will celebrate their 2020 accomplishments.
We are undefeated in the 2020 season. We're going to claim another state championship. And because we were the last team practicing in the Big Sky, we're going to claim the Big Sky championship as well. We'll order some rings, have some T-shirts done up.
In Bozeman, John Miller, MTN Sports.
Well, Legion baseball came to an end over the weekend, and fall sports practice at the high school level begins on Friday.
MTN's Tom and Cece Wiley are gearing up for the return of local sports, but first it's time for another edition of Social Distancing Game Changers.
Hey everybody, Tom and Cece back here with another edition of Game Changers, and we have a new friend we want to introduce you to. This is Gigi. She is a 2-month-old kitty. We adopted her from the Great Falls Animal Shelter, and she is going to help us out with this week's Game Changers. NCAA football might have been pushed to spring, but nothing stops the grind at home. This week we taught Cece how to do a touchdown celebration. At number 5, moose on the loose. A female cow came to investigate the big city and hung out down by the river's edge in Great Falls for an urban adventure. Eventually, she was captured and relocated to the Little Belt Mountains. At number 4, COVID-19 has shut down most live music, but you can still catch the Great Falls Municipal Band every Wednesday at the Gibson Park Band Show, one of the last remaining city bands in the country. At number 3, Legion baseball wrapped up in Montana over the weekend. Congratulations to the state AA champion Bozeman Bucks and the state single A champion Billings Blue Jays for capturing state titles. At number 2, Mid-State Signs in Winifred is now printing custom face masks. That way you can recognize your friends when you see them in the grocery store. And at number 1, a legendary aircraft made a stop in Great Falls last week. World War B-25 bomber Made in the Shade flew 15 combat missions and is now touring the country over the summer. All right, folks, and if you want to help us out, send your video to sports@krtv.com or home highlights at krtv.com, and Cece, Gigi, and I will include them each Monday in Game Changers. Reporting from home, Tom, Gigi, and Cece, MTN News.
And for the latest on the delayed start to high school football and volleyball, you can visit montanasports.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Heads up one last time, a red flag warning in effect from noon tomorrow through Wednesday at 9 p.m. all thanks to low humidity levels as well as gusty winds. Tonight, temperatures falling down to around 52 degrees in Great Falls, a little bit warmer in Helena at 54 and 56 in Glasgow. Overall, though, we will see our temperatures warm up to 90 degrees tomorrow, 85 on Wednesday with only an isolated chance for a shower or two, mainly staying around Lewistown, and then temperatures fall down, guys, to 80 degrees on Friday.
All right, thanks, Grant. We'll get ready for an all-natural light show in the night sky. The Perseid Meteor shower. It's considered to be the Northern Hemisphere's most popular meteor shower of the year.
This year it's been active since July, but it's set to peak this Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. If you can't get out to have a look, then you may still be able to catch a glimpse of the Perseid meteors the following 2 nights. Perseid meteors are caused by dust and debris left behind from the tail of the comet Swift-Tuttle.
Very neat. Maybe you can catch it early in the morning too, maybe if you're out for a Montana this morning.
There you go.
We'll have to get Shannon and Jason to do it. I don't think I'm going to be up that early.
Yeah,
right, take a few pictures for Mugshot one day after
that or Ashley.
Yeah,
Ashley
true, yeah, many helping hands. That's all the time we have tonight at 10. Thanks for watching.